Kristen Megan was an environmental specialist 9 years into her career with the US Air Force when she decided to debunk the chemtrail conspiracy theory. She thought the idea was insane. Why would we use hazardous chemicals in our atmosphere, poisoning the Earth and humanity? But instead of debunking or disproving the conspiracy theory, her research from within the US Air Force revealed that chemtrails were a conspiracy fact, and her own office was playing a key role in the secret operations. After a lot of sampling and investigating, Kristen blew the whistle and got out, emerging with a wealth of invaluable information about chemtrails, weather modification, the role of HAARP, and the evil agenda of the elite. Before we break this down, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, join the People's Voice Locals community to join our incredible community and support the channel, and check out the brand new free speech forum at community.thepeoplesvoice.tv. We've all noticed the strange and unnatural chemtrail patterns in the skies above major cities and regional centres. Despite mainstream media's efforts to downplay it, these bizarre geometric chemtrails don't resemble any natural cloud formations, and have only started appearing in recent decades. According to Kristen Megan, a subject matter expert who investigated the phenomenon from the inside, the answers to these questions are dark and disturbing, and the paper trail exposes the depopulation agenda of the global elite.
So we're here with Kristen Megan. She's a military veteran, right?
Yes, I was in the US Air Force for 9 years.
Wow. And you came out and blew the whistle on geoengineering, things that you witnessed were going on. Can you give us the real nutshell?
Absolutely. Basically, I had heard of what many people know as the term chemtrails. And I worked in a job called bioenvironmental engineering, and I thought that was insane. And why would we do something like that? Modify the weather by using hazardous materials in our atmosphere? So, and actually the process of trying to debunk it or disprove it, I realized it was actually coming right out of my office, as I was one of the people that was approving the chemicals. And it really shook the core of my oath. And I did a lot of sampling, did a lot of investigation, and I blew the whistle and I got out. And I've now used my credentials, my oath, and my powers for good to help people understand it's very real. It's now openly admitted. There are multiple forms of weather modification. I specifically found the one of stratospheric aerosol injection. And collectively around the globe, we have to understand that it is now being admitted because they're saying it's combating climate change. Well, the climate change we need to be worried about is man-made climate engineering, also known as geoengineering.
Kristen's job as an environmental specialist involved identifying toxic chemicals and substituting them out of the workplace for the health and safety of her military colleagues. She became radicalized when she learned that the same highly toxic chemicals that she was trying to substitute out of the workplace were the same chemicals they were spraying from the skies in industrial quantities, blanketing the Earth and humanity in deadly toxins.
And when you say you had chemicals being pumped into the air, what kind of chemicals are they putting out that rain down on humanity, basically?
Nanoparticulate metals, like you had different sulfates and barium and strontium. I know it's probably changed over time. I know they use silver iodide for certain things, but these are the odd part of it was the quantities that I saw them coming in, the form that they were coming in, and it's the same type of materials that I was trying to engineer out of the workplace to substitute with safer materials. And when you notice that what's called the safety data sheet, the information about a chemical of what personal protective equipment to wear, how do you dispose of it, how do you pack it to ship it. When key information is missing, I ask questions, and my questions led to demonization, and I knew I found something I shouldn't have.
That's insane. So these metals are basically toxic for the humans, I would presume, or?
Yes, because it also has aluminum, and a lot of people will tell you, well, these things aren't horrible in small quantities. It's not small quantities, because when you are putting things above us, the dissipation rates are dependent on weather and climate, but it's getting into the food, it's getting into the soil. And around the world, these wastewater treatment plants, when it comes to pharmaceuticals, or these toxicants is what they're called, they are not able to filter them out. So if you're growing organic food, are we going to go back to the plexiglass barriers on our plants? I mean, it's horrible. That's why you can ban it anywhere. We've had states in the United States ban it, and that is great to get the ball rolling. But people really need to wake up to it, irrespective of any political party. It's not okay. And you're seeing a huge increase in neurodegenerative issues like Alzheimer's. It's really difficult for people with respiratory issues and asthma. And people are wondering why they have allergies 24/7, 365.
Kristen's investigations also led her to learn that the elite are engaged in weather modification. She was hounded and demonized at the time, called a conspiracy theorist and worse. only to be vindicated a few years later when the global elite let the mask slip and confirmed that they do control the weather.
There are places that openly admitted it. Remember Dubai? And then when people got upset, they retracted it, but the can was already opened. And the issue is, I know this sounds silly, but when you watch movies with time change, they say if you do something and something changes, it changes the ripple throughout time. If you are modifying the weather, you are messing with Mother Nature. And meteorology is a very, very thorough study. And I do know a lot of it because of my profession of plotting hazards. But it does not make sense when you are altering nature where things are not naturally supposed to occur. We had massive flooding in California, and we have a system called HARP that is in the United States. And the same people who demonized me 5-10 years ago are now going, wow, because they're finding it's openly admitted in all of our U.S. documents. The U.S. is absolutely not the only country doing it.
Once a conspiracy theory, HARP is yet another conspiracy fact. And a forensic analysis of the information in the public domain proves that climate change is not only a hoax, it's a depopulation project. And our governments are complicit in this crime against humanity. The globalists are trying to make us all poorer and destroy what's left of the economy. The Biden regime is following all of the WF diktats to the letter. They literally want you to own nothing and pretend to be happy. It's no joke. That's why I recently decided to put a lot of my own savings into precious metals, gold and silver. I don't trust the banks, I don't trust governments, and I don't trust big tech with my hard-earned money. Why? Because the handful of people that I do trust to give me financial advice, Max Kaiser for instance, have all said that gold is the best insurance against inflation and the stock market. So I decided to partner up with our sponsor, Colonial Metals Group. They helped me set up a self-directed IRA, where I have access to all of my assets, no matter what restrictions the government impose on everybody else. Let the team of experts at CMG help you protect your family's future. And viewers of this channel are being given an exclusive offer. Click on the link below this video or call the 800 number and you'll receive a safe and up to $10,000 in free silver. This offer is exclusive to viewers of The People's Voice. The number to call is 888-351-2043. That's 888-351-2043. Or go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/TPV. The global agenda to block the sun has taken a serious turn this year, with Bill Gates and George Soros pumping tens of millions of dollars into schemes to spray aerosols into the atmosphere to shield the Earth from life-giving rays of the sun. Suddenly, chemtrails stopped being conspiracy theories and became the supposed cure for climate change. But those who've been paying attention know that the propaganda being pumped out by the mainstream media is utter hogwash. In 1972, the Club of Rome published the book The Limits to Growth, which called for extreme depopulation to save the planet from the plague of humans. This book has served as an instruction manual for the global elite ever since its publication. In 2018, Dennis Meadows, the co-author of The Limits to Growth, explained that the time had come to implement the final phase of the elite's depopulation agenda. Bear in mind, the population of the world today is 7.9 billion.
The planet can support something like 1 billion people, maybe 2 billion, depending on how much liberty and how much material consumption you want to have. If you want more liberty and more consumption, you have to have fewer people. And conversely, you can have more people. I mean, we could even have 8 or 9 billion probably if we have a very strong dictatorship, which is smart. That's, unfortunately, you never have smart dictatorships. They're always stupid. So, but if you had a smart dictatorship and a low standard of living, you can have it. But we want to have freedom and we want to have a high sentence, so we're going to have 1 billion people. And we're now at 7, so we have to get back down. I hope that this can be slow, relatively slow, and that it can be done in a way which is relatively equal.
Overpopulation is at the crux of the climate change hoax, and overpopulation is a lie. Traditional farming methods and traditional nutritious food, including grass-fed beef and organic salmon, have been sustaining populations for thousands of years. It was only when elites, including Klaus Schwab and Bill Gates, decided to get involved in the farming industry that we found ourselves experiencing supply chain issues, food production plant fires, and a manufactured food crisis. But don't take my word for it. Ask any of the hundreds of thousands of farmers across Europe who are still protesting their WF-infiltrated government's disastrous Agenda 2030 policies, which are designed to put them out of work and force us to rely on Gates' synthetic food production process for our nutrition. Oh, and Klaus's bugs. Most of the so-called climate change we're seeing around the world is contrived. The fires breaking out around the world are being blamed on climate change, even though far-left arsonists have been caught starting them. Directed energy weapons are able to start fires from above and can utilize microwave technology to target specific homes and burn them from within. This is another conspiracy theory that has become conspiracy fact. In 2019, the mainstream media admitted that lasers can now change the weather and make rain and lightning.
Lasers? Really? To change the weather?
By firing trillion-watt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions, and these ions act like seeds, like dust particles, bringing down rain and even lightning.
Since this fateful news broadcast, people all over the world have reported witnessing strange strobe-like lightning, unlike anything they'd ever seen before.
What the is that, dude? What? That's it.
What did these strange weather events have in common? They involved unnatural meteorological data, and they caused massive damage to communities, sparking political unrest. Kristen mentioned HAARP, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, which can now create hurricanes, and they can control their direction with next-generation weather transmitters, or NextRad. By building an electromagnetic charge and dispersing it underground as direct current VLF waves, the NextRad radar transmitters are able to trigger earthquakes. Remember the earthquake in Turkey earlier this year? Locals reported seeing strange strobe-like flashes that always happen in HAARP operations right before the devastating quake. Earthquakes and explosives can trigger tsunamis, and these are the technologies that we know about. That only leaves volcanoes and tornadoes. Funded by Peter Thiel, Avtech Energy Corporation began work on developing a device to produce 140-foot tall tornadoes. Meanwhile, a former US intelligence official recently told State of the Nation that the US has already triggered a volcano. Climate change is part of the Club of Rome's blueprint for the depopulation agenda, and the global elite are using chemtrails, HAARP, and weather modification to destroy humanity and drive the world towards their techno-communist dystopia. Here at The People's Voice, we are determined to continue holding the elite to account for their crimes against humanity, but we need your help. Subscribe to the channel, tell your friends and family about us, and join the People's Voice Locals community, and check out the brand new forum at community.thepeoplesvoice.tv. I hope to see you there. Today's sponsor is LiverMedic. If you think the supplements you are getting from big box retailers are doing you any good, think again. Did you know that most of the retailers in America are owned and controlled by the same handful of companies that control everything? But we have a choice. LiverMedic's leaky gut repair is aimed at the millions of people suffering from all forms of digestive discomfort. Their safe and efficacious natural product is physician grade, with no toxic fillers. It coats while repairing the digestive lining. Best of all, unlike Big Pharma's offerings, it actually works. Join me and millions of other Americans who are voting with our dollars by supporting an American company that truly cares about our health. Save up to 15% on a 3-month supply by using our code People's Voice by visiting livermedic.com/step/leaky gut special, or by clicking on the link below this video. Take back control of your health, protect your family from the global elite, and hit them where it really hurts. Visit livermedic.com/step/leaky gut special, or click the link below this video to find out more.